Hi everybody, this is Everyday Commentary, and this is a video overview of this knife. And this knife is the Paramilitary 3, or the Para3, because it's not the Paramilitary 3, it's the Para3. This is basically an EDC-sized Paramilitary 2. They took a bit of the handle off, they took a little bit less of the blade off. So the blade is 3 inches, and the other one was 3.4 inches, 3.44 inches. But the handle on the Paramilitary was significantly longer than it needed to be. So they really shrunk this knife down. In doing so, they made something that's a little, just a smidge easier to carry. And it's one hell of a knife. There's no way around it. As you can see, I use this knife a lot. I got it for the review over the weekend, and I used it to make food and do all kinds of stuff with it. So it's got dirt on it because I use it. I'll clean it off. But, you know, one of the things that I thought of when I was looking at whether or not to get this knife and whether or not to review this knife is like, do I really need to review this knife? Because I have reviewed the Paramilitary 2, and I've reviewed a bunch of other EDC knives from Spyderco, but I saw how much interest there was on the internet, and so I decided, you know what, I got it for completeness sake, I'll review it. So contacted Blade HQ, and they sent me this review sample, and I'm very grateful that they do that. So here, let's go down through and talk about the features. Simply put, it has the compression lock, which everybody loves. It has the nested liners, which everybody loves. It has the spider hole, which everybody should love. If they don't love it, they're crazy. It has the spoon style clip, which is good. Probably not my favorite clip, but it's good. If you notice in the catalog, they have an over-the-top deep carry version of the spoon style clip on one of the Yanish folders. I would love to see them implement that on all of their knives, because that is a cool looking pocket clip. It looks like it's very good. It's got the G10 and S30V, because, you know, that's just what Spyderco does on these knives. I would much prefer a different steel, but as Spyderco has treated this knife, and as it has worked in knives past, it's really good. I mean, it's not a super high-end steel anymore, but they've gotten that heat treat dialed in. This is just a good knife steel. In the hand, if you're not using the choil, I have medium-sized hands, it'll fit, but it's a little awkward. If you bump up on the choil, it's just about perfect length. I don't think that I'd change that. A couple things that I would change, a couple things that I don't like. Number one, they're basically using the same clip, and because they're using the same clip, it's a little bigger proportional to the handle. Number two, for some reason, I cannot get that wiggle out of there. I'm getting wiggle on this blade, or on this thing, and I've tightened it down twice. I don't know why, but it's just that way. Another thing is the tip of the clip falls right. Let me see if I can do this. Falls right on the meat of my hand, and boy, is that annoying. I've used this knife a couple times outside and inside, making fires, and so I'm peeling stuff off, peeling off real thin dry bark. And as I'm doing that, I'm just getting these crazy hot spots. The other thing that's weird is when you open the knife, the compression lock clicks into place, and it hits the fat of your hand right there over and over and over again. Not the most pleasant feeling in the world. And so when you put both of these things basically in the same spot, as you can see, they're like right there. Not good. I do not like that at all. When they have the Paramilitary 2, they move this down a little bit. This kind of slides back, and this is still something of an issue with hitting the palm of your hand, but because you're not working around the clip and the lock on the Paramilitary 2, I found it much better. Overall, this knife is pretty big for a 3-inch knife. I mean, here's a size comparison between it and the mini grip. As you can see, the mini grip is significantly smaller. I mean, this is just a smaller knife all around, right? But, weird thing, this is the way the mini grip is made. The blade is basically the same size. So you're getting maybe even a little bit more of a cutting edge in a significantly shorter and not quite as long knife. It's pretty crazy that, I mean, I'm talking like much less height, and you know, like half an inch less handle, and so you're getting all of that for a significantly smaller package. And I'm not sure exactly what the benefit of this knife is over this knife. People went bonkers for this because it's basically, you know, what people think of as a sequel to the Paramilitary 2. But Paramilitary 2 is a big knife that carries like a small knife. The Paramilitary 3 is a small knife that carries like a big knife. And so it's a great knife. There's no question about that. But I don't think it's better than some of the knives out there, like this knife. I think this knife is better. It's more expensive, of course, but it has better steel, and I think it has significantly better ergonomics. I also think the design is more efficient, and that they're cramming basically the same or more blade into a smaller package in this knife than they are in this knife. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, like, scoring-wise, if it's not in comparison to something, as a knife standing on its own, really good knife. Much better than the Delica, right? Better than the Delica, but probably not better than the mini grip, and probably not better than the Paramilitary 2, and probably not better than the Native 5. And so, you know, like on my scale, it's like, is it a 17? Is it an 18? Is it a 19? It's not a 20. There's no question it's not a 20. This is a 20. This is not a 20. But there's only so many places that you can put it. It's better than the Delica. It's not as good as the Paramilitary. So Delica gets like a 17, I think, and the Paramilitary got a 19. So is it an 18? I mean, that would make sense because a point off for here and point off for here. But I don't know. I haven't sat down and really thought about it. It's just sort of shooting off the top of my head. I really like the knife. It's very well made. Very well made. And I can normally finger flick it open, but reaching around a camera is not possible. It's very well made. It's sharp. It's ground paper thin. I mean, oh gosh, that's one of the best parts of the Paramilitary too. And it got carried over here. It's just an amazing slicer. I mean, I was slicing some pretty hard Romano cheese, and normally, you know, if your knife is not paper thin, that stuff just crumbles, and it was able to cut me off real thin sheets. So, good slicer. Good overall knife. I like this knife a lot. I'd like a better steel. I'd love to see this in like 110V, which would be sweet. I'd love to see a different pocket clip on it. Maybe a wire pocket clip, because you wouldn't have the same issues. I don't know. Something different, because this pocket clip is just not working on this knife. But that's my video overview of the Para3, and a written review will be coming soon.